Coming up on CTV News, more good news for those living without flushing toilets, and Christchurch International Airport opens its newest terminal. Welcome to CTV News. I'm Rob Cope-Williams. Another 5,000 households are able to flush again almost 3 months after the quake, with more expected to be able to flush their toilets again by the end of the week.
Sewage was yesterday restored to 3,200 homes in Shirley, St Albans and West Haven. 1,800 homes in Queen's Park got their sewage systems back up and running on Monday. The Christchurch City Council has said that other areas will be able to resume flushing from today or tomorrow. About 40,000 Christchurch homes have been told not to or have been completely unable to flush their toilets since the February quake. Instead, they've been relying on portaloos and chemical toilets. Sewage was restored to the first houses last week, and the council have said that a further 15,000 should be able to flush within 4 weeks. Trucks such as the ones just behind me here have been clearing silt from the pipes since the quake. But it could be years before the city's broken pipes can be completely fixed. The sewage system is still leaking about 37 million litres of sewage into rivers and the Avon Heathcote estuary. It's estimated the sewage system will cost around $1.2 billion to repair.
Christchurch Police today arrested 6 people in an operation against a major burglary ring targeting high-end hair care and fashion products. A total of 40 police staff were involved in today's operation. The group committed more than 50 offences across the city. The group targeted retail stores and stolen property was recovered from 2 addresses in Avonhead and Islington. A new terminal at Christchurch Airport is now fully operational after 18 months of construction.
Stage 1 of Christchurch Airport's new terminal building is now complete and open to the public. Last week the check-in hall opened where both international and domestic passengers check in. On Monday the first floor opened, which has a food court and retail outlets. Jim Bolt, CEO of Christchurch Airport, says he hopes the new and improved airport will serve as a gateway to the South Island.
Oh look, it's a stunning new facility, particularly coming on what's happened, on the back of what's happened in Christchurch, to have what is probably the best airport terminal in the Southern Hemisphere now open. It just sends a really good message out, and we hope it will enhance the visitor experience into the South Island.
Canterbury tourism has taken a hit since both quakes, and Christchurch Airport hopes a new and improved airport might attract people back. February's earthquake caused a 25% fall in international guest nights in February and the loss of at least $7 million worth of accommodation business in a week.
A really good airport isn't going to cause people to come to an area, but the experience is a lot better. And believe it or not, people do rate airports when they go through them, and we think we'll get really positive feedback on our airport. We've had stunning feedback. I guess I'd have something more than 100 emails and messages from people congratulating us on just how good it is, right through from airlines through to the travelling public.
And with the Rugby World Cup Christchurch games moved elsewhere, Christchurch needs visitors now more than ever.
Well, interestingly enough, a lot of the people who were booked to come to Christchurch for Rugby World Cup are still travelling in here because they're unable to shift their flight arrangements around. So we'll still see a lot of those people, but then of course they'll simply transfer on to domestic flights.
The new terminal has a $15 million baggage handling system, which is 750 metres long. That figure includes the multi-storey car park building, the terminal, the ground boarding lounge, a pedestrian plaza and airfield works. So far, around $161 million has been spent on the project, and it's exactly on target in terms of budget.
Oh yes, we're right on budget. We're a little late, but that's been caused by the earthquakes.
Stage 2 of the construction project began this week and will be complete in September 2012. It involves the demolition of the former domestic terminal, the construction of a new baggage claim area and improvement of aircraft parking areas.
So the next step is the completion of stage 2, which is basically a repeat of the area that we're in now, airside in terms of building area, and that'll encompass additional operational areas and a departure lounge airside.
And he hopes the airport will serve Canterburyans into the future.
Look, we're building this for a 40 or a 50-year life, and you know, I don't think what's happening now should have an effect on what we're providing for future generations.
Lifeline is opening its doors again to help Cantabs who are struggling after the quakes.
Lifeline in Christchurch reopened today, once again able to offer counselling assistance via phone and email for the people of Christchurch. The centre is located in the Knox Church Hall, and CTV was there for the opening.
We missed not being available to help our callers, and it's really good to be back on the phones. It's really great to be here to help our community through what we've been going through, and as Cantabrians ourselves, we've been through it all. So yeah, we feel that we're going to get there, and it's really nice to be back on the air, as it were.
The purpose of Lifeline, our main purpose, is to provide an emotionally healthy community, and we do that by providing our telephone counselling service, and we also provide an email counselling service, and it's free for anybody who wishes to contact us.
Well, we're here, we're a 24-hour a day, 7-day a week service, so we've got counsellors ready to speak to our callers 24 hours a day from Christchurch location. So we're here to help our clients through as they want to be. You know, it's about working through how they're feeling and their issues, and we're here to listen.
This earthquake has been significantly different, and from the 22nd of February until now we have been out of the building until the cordons and the area was made safe.
The major part of my job, and I think you find this with most ministers post-quake, has been checking up on our people, getting around our members and other people, not just our members. I became known for cycling around on my mountain bike because it was the easiest way to get around. Rather than trying to drive, and so I've been doing a lot of visiting and just checking in with people, making sure they're okay. That's a little less so now as the initial shock has worn off, but as people have returned to the city, of course, haven't been away, then that picks up again. So yeah, there's been a lot of intensive personal pastoral counselling related work.
We're part of the fabric of, I think, Christchurch and the Canterbury community, and to not have a Lifeline in Christchurch felt really unusual, and while our other centres throughout New Zealand were answering our telephone calls, there is something about providing a telephone and email counselling service for your own people in your own area.
Lifeline has a group of 120 committed volunteers who are all excited to be able to continue to offer their services to the local people. If you need to talk, call 0800 543 354.
Coming up after the break, we take a look at the price of dairying and vegetables. Welcome back. The price of vegetables is still holding up after what has been described as a very varied season.
Yes, we have. We've had quite an interesting summer with a lot of strong winds and some very high temperatures at different times through the year. Most of the crops have come through that pretty good. The potatoes found it pretty challenging this year though. They pretty much just recovered from one good weather event, whether it be a strong wind, and just recovered from that, and then the heat got turned on, and then so the crops went through a whole lot of almost recovery phases all the way through the season. But they've ended up coming through pretty good.
So what would that do to them? Would it just stop them growing, or would it be uneven growth?
Overall, we ended up with average yields down on what we had last year. Still, yields are okay, but down on average. And due to the season we've had this year, we've had a bit of common scab show up in some of the varieties and some of the paddocks as well.
The little flies, is it the cinnamon fly?
Yes, the potato psyllids, they were there in numbers again this year. Once again, a bit similar to last year. Came in round about Christmas time, still with us at the moment, although the potato crops are finished growing now, so they're not a problem on the crops at the moment, but we've had to have a spray regime in place, and still looking for some alternatives to that because the measures we're taking at the moment aren't sustainable going forward.
What about the harvest part of the season?
Yeah, the harvest is going quite well. We got started every bit as early this year as any other year. Just having a wee bit of fun at the moment with some of the varieties still getting a little bit of bruising. So it's a trial and error game where we just keep doing small trial digs and taking samples, wash samples, and analysing those. And when we get the threshold down to something that we're happy with, we'll proceed. And of course, we're trying to get perfection, so we're
always looking for the quality. What about varieties? Because you seem to have a variety of varieties for different purposes.
Yes, well, we're still growing the 3 red varieties. We're not convinced that one's necessarily any better than the other. They vary a bit between paddocks, so we like to run with the 3 varieties. They're all very good eating varieties and they're all reasonably reliable, but one's always up or down, so we like to keep that mix. The Nardines, they stay pretty steady with quality and yield. On the Goldens, certainly the Maribels are streets ahead of the Agrias as far as what we're getting off them, and I believe they're every bit as nice on the eating side of it as well. They're a much nicer looking potato, cooked very well.
Other vegetables such as broccoli are bringing growers higher than normal returns for this time of the season. And Pete Smith went down to Raywood Fresh to ask locals their opinion on GST on fruit and veg.
Street Talk today will focus on GST coming off fresh fruit and vegetables. Phil Goff has pledged should they become the government in November, they will remove it. What do the consumers think? Would it change their buying habits? Would they buy more? Would we end up with healthier families? We'll ask the punters today here at Raywood Fresh. Phil Goff says if he becomes government in November, he will take GST off fresh fruit and produce. Would that make a big difference to your budget?
Yes, definitely.
Slightly, because we're only a small family of 4. So it might be maybe $5 less or something like that.
Oh, absolutely, definitely.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and we've spent quite a bit of food, and then over the last 6 months or so, there's been a big increase in prices, and it does affect what the quality of the stuff that we have to buy.
I think that would make a difference to everyone's budgeting, but it doesn't mean you would do it, does it?
Ask the woman.
Right, girls.
Not if it's the Labour Party.
They say anything to get into where they want to be, pretty much.
Yeah, but I don't think it will do.
I'm pretty careful about buying fruit and veggies anyway, it's a priority.
Managed to get the brand manager here from Raywood Fresh. We're asking the question today that Phil Goff says if he becomes in government in November, he will actually take GST off fresh fruit and veggies. What difference would that make to you guys?
Oh, look, we support wholeheartedly people making the right choice with what they eat and making good choices about fruit and vegetables. And if you eat in season, it's actually not expensive to buy fruit and vegetables.
Would you buy more produce, do you think?
No, if I bought a whole lot more, then it would go off. So I usually buy some at the beginning of the week and at the end of the week.
We buy what we need as a family. So I'm not compromising on that, but we'd probably buy different things that we don't buy now.
Do you find it a bit of a trial buying fruit and veggies because they're expensive or not?
Yes, but it's a necessity, so you have to. Probably not myself, but maybe more young families.
Right.
Yeah.
Of course, I mean, financially, of course it would make a difference, but I'm just trying to work out logistically how they would make that happen.
Coming up after the break, the price of milk and your weather. Welcome back. The price of milk and other dairy products is suggesting that the price of production and returns for dairying are still high, but that's not always the case.
We've sort of grown a bit of grass, but we've had to feed out a bit of supplement all the way through. We've just sort of been on top of the grass the whole way through, so we haven't had abundance of grass.
Pressure coming off now though because your cow numbers reducing?
Yes, we've dropped cow numbers. Obviously we've got to this time of the season, we're getting near the end of the season. We start thinking about next season, so we've looked at cows that are light condition. We've dried around about 39 cows off that are light condition that we want to get a bit of condition on before next season.
And what's production been like over that time?
Yep, production is a wee bit below through sort of January till now than what was at the same time last year, but overall for the season we're running around about 4% behind. Yes, the clover root weevil, that's been a big issue on the farm this year. We've pretty much gone through the whole season without any clover in our pasture, which is unusual for us. Normally with our low grazing residuals, about 25-30% of our pasture is made up of clover. This year we can be struggling to find any. And actually in the last month we have actually noticed a bit more clover in our pastures, but with the soil temperatures getting a bit cooler, it hasn't been very strong. And we've with the weevil here, we've been looking at releasing the wasp, but the wasp has actually come with the weevil, so that's a bonus.
So what other things can you do with it? Because bacteria and things are fine, but
yeah, with the weevil, it's sort of a cycle that we seem to have to go through. The North Island probably got hit a bit harder than what we're going to get hit here in the South Island, because the wasp has been released earlier down here. And the things that we're doing to get by is obviously we've had to use more nitrogen to grow more grass. And other than that, there's not a lot that we can do. It's just a cycle we have to go through.
Does that reflect on your bottom line?
Definitely. Yep, it's probably has been part of our production loss this year, because the clover in the pasture is very easy for the cows to harvest, and they've got to get a gutful of just grass. It is harder for them to eat enough grass.
Paul Lonsdale from the Central City Business Association is working with property and business owners with their rebuild. Kenita Knight spoke to him on City Life.
Well, look, it's something that's been embraced by the government and the council. It's a plan to get the city up and running before Cup and Show Week. So I'm very privileged to be working with a lot of really passionate and sort of dedicated property owners and business owners who really want to start the heart ticking back in the city. And it's really important that we get it back up and running sooner rather than later.
So will that be the majority of the CBD that will be up and running?
It's a block, or maybe two, around Ballantynes. Ballantynes is the anchor tenant, and obviously we will look to sort of try and support and incubate a number of retailers, so when some of the buildings come back online and when some of the rebuild happens, we've got retailers and businesses to go back into those new or existing properties. So
at this stage, how are those blocks looking at the moment, and where does it extend to? It's
probably Chewham, that block that the council own, which is earmarked for the transport interchange, and the next block, which encompasses Litchfield through to Cashel Mall, and that's the west side of Cashel Mall. So it's only one block. There's a lot of work to do in there, obviously, of course, so we're sort of facing a number of issues. Obviously, getting our engineers in there to check the buildings, and then looking at what needs to be demolished and getting on and getting that done. And then we'll look at some temporary relocatable type structures to go in there. So it's about giving a bit of hope to some of the retailers out there as well that perhaps can't find a premise to actually to sort of start their business off again. And a lot of the businesses in the city are location specific.
And Reid Stiven from the EQC spoke on City Life about the latest EQC updates.
23rd of May, Kenita, for the claims last day for lodgement of claims from the February event. So any new damage from 22 February, the claims has to be lodged by 23 May. Now we're doing some publicity around that, so lots of print, all the community newspapers, lots of radio advertising just to remind people. But if you've got a claim, please get it in.
Okay. Now that aftershock, that big aftershock that woke us all on Tuesday morning. Now I must say my camera was plugged in and I think it exploded. Will that be classed as a new event?
Not sure yet. That will be made. That decision will be made out of Wellington. But if it is, any new damage needs to be a new claim lodged, and we'll take it from there, I suppose.
I know it's just a camera, but you know. So what's happening out in the Selwyn district?
We've got 50 teams dedicated to Selwyn at the moment. All working very close to the September 4 epicentre for homes that weren't seen. There's about 2,500 claims that we didn't get to, and they weren't seen by the our rapid assessment program, just because of their rural location. So we're in Selwyn at the moment visiting those claims and getting those tidied up.
Okay, and the progress update, the figures that you've got from the rapid assessment?
Yeah, really interesting. We've still got the 20-odd thousand that we need to be through by mid-July, and that includes 12,000 that we think will be over the EQC cap. We're hoping to see all them by the end of May, on track to do that. A further 8,000 that are likely to be around, the high end of our range, which is 80 to 90,000. We're hoping to be through them by mid-July, and then after that we drop down into the minor claims and moderate damage, and then into the very minor damage, which we've got about 120,000 claims, and we hope to be through that by mid-December.
Now, here's Sasha with your weather.
Hi there everyone. It was a little warmer in Hanmer and Colverton today, reaching 17 degrees. Other areas remained at 13, 14 or 15. A front is approaching Canterbury from the Tasman Sea, bringing with it a mild, humid northerly airstream, resulting in warmer temperatures tomorrow. Blustery northerlies in the morning in Kaikoura, but these will ease. We see a mix of high cloud and sunny periods during the day. A pleasant 18 is your high. fine with sunny periods and high cloud in Hanmer. I'm afraid you don't escape those strong northerlies, but again they will become light by the afternoon. 10 degrees tonight with a high of 16 tomorrow. North Canterbury sees a windy start, but it will become calmer later in the day. Mostly fine weather for your Thursday with a high of 19. Gusty northerly winds, high cloud and some nice sunshine in Christchurch tomorrow. Again, winds will settle by the afternoon and a lovely 19 degrees is your expected high. Mostly fine in Ashburton tomorrow. Gusty northerlies may be strong at first, but these will become lighter during the day. 11 degrees overnight tonight with a high of 18 tomorrow. In Timaru, fine with sunny periods and high cloud. Strong northerlies in the morning die down by the afternoon. 18 is your Thursday high. Looking to other areas, it's a cloudy day with some sunny periods for Culverden, Darfield, Methven and Akaroa. To the west we see some showers in the morning, but that clears by the afternoon. Darfield expected to be the warmest there with a high of 19. Fresh gusty northwesterlies develop on Saturday with high cloud increasing. Thanks everyone, see you tomorrow.
Be wonderful to get some warmer temperatures again. I'm Rob Cope-Williams and that's CTV News.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.